So as we settle in today, we're going to start a little differently. I have someone here who's been having some issues with their piriformis, which is a muscle that runs from the center of the sacrum, which is the big triangular bone, like down here near the base of your spine, diagonally across to the greater trochanter, which is like a knobby bone piece that you'll feel sticking out like in the upper thigh. So if you go from your knee up and out on the diagonal, you'll feel this big bony spur. And so because bones build mass when there's a lot of pressure put onto them, like for example, this is the place where the glute muscle attaches as well as the piriformis. So because the glute is such a big muscle and a powerful muscle, this part of the bone is really heavily built up. So if you look at a skeleton or, a faux skeleton, you can see, or if you look at an anatomy book, you can see that there's like a large kind of bulbous part of the bone that's here before the femur goes in and has a narrow neck and then sinks into the socket on your pelvic girdle. So anyway, so the piriformis runs from the center underneath the sacrum to this greater trochanter. And the reason a lot of people are interested in that is because when it's super tight, it can impinge on the sciatic nerve, which can cause pain. Yes, some nods here in the room. It can impinge on the sciatic nerve, which can then cause like the sort of an electrical sharp feeling pain. Would you describe it like that? That can run anywhere from the hip all the way down towards the pinky toe. And it might just be part of that line. It might be a couple places, or it might be the full line that then could be causing aggravation because of the pressure on the nerve. So we're just going to do a few exercises. They're great for just hip opening, even if you don't have sciatica, but it would be useful for a client here today who's dealing with this. And I love it anyway because I feel like my hips are always tight, even though I get to stand as I work most of the time. I still do a lot of sitting at the computer when I'm home too. So in any case, we're going to roll back into onto your spine. If you feel like your head is falling backwards, like if your chin is too high and your forehead is down like this, you might roll up your pad or take a sweater or sweatshirt or something or towel and place it under your head, because we'd like to have the forehead and the chin level so that the spine is in its best alignment as you're laying down here, which means that the waist is floating up, the pelvis is heavy, the shoulder blades are heavy, but you are demonstrating the S curve of the spine when you lay down. Now, knees will be bent, feet are grounded, and you can pull the feet in and the edges of the feet together, knees together to begin. And remembering that your hip socket is on each side, about 2.5 inches from the center of the pubic bones. And if you put your finger into the index finger down into the crease, you're down about 2 inches. That's where the center of the joint will be, the hip socket. So from that point, we're just going to rotate the legs externally and let the knees fall open to the side. So the piriformis is a femur rotator muscle. So are the glutes. And then we're going to pull the legs up. And we'll do that again. So both knees are going to open in unison in opposite directions. So you get this stretch in the inner thighs, but this is also getting you a contraction in the piriformis and the glute. And then as you pull the knees up, those muscles lengthen. And if you can do this and feel that the two legs are opening equally, you're assisting in having the piriformis muscles on the right and the left side work equally as well, which is important because if one of them is tighter than the other, it sort of wags the sacrum and the tailbone off to one side, which can cause unevenness in the hips and imbalance in the centering of your spinal bones, your vertebra. So we like to do this to help balance out the pelvic halves and balance out the spine. So as you inhale, you're going to roll to the outer edges of your feet, the soles of the feet sort of point in towards each other. And then as you bring the knees up, the soles of the feet press into the ground. So just a couple more. We tend to inhale into the stretch, opening the knees, and exhale into the pull from the upper inner thighs. The femur dropping deep into the hip sockets here. And one more time. We also do this movement on our sides in Pilates doing clams, which are also taught in all kinds of different training and in physical therapy, right? Because of the benefit of this action. All right, so then once you bring the legs up, we're going to alternate the external rotation that's happening in the leg. So let's start letting the right knee fall open to the side and holding the left hip grounded, hold it heavy on the mat. So there's no tipping of the pelvis or rotation through the spine. And exhale, pull the leg up, slowly use your inner thighs to do that. And then we'll let the left knee fall open. So the outer thigh pulls the leg down. The piriformis is rotating that femur on the socket to pull it open on a diagonal here laterally. And then we're going to pull up from the inner thighs and even a little bit from the center of the pelvic floor to bring the knee up. And we alternate the legs. Now, because of my Franklin training, we are taught to use here small balls about the size of a tennis ball, but much softer, sort of like, air-filled, but like a silicone kind of a surface around it to take under the piriformis while we do this. And if you choose to do that, as long as the piriformis doesn't cause like sharp sciatic pain down your legs, very beneficial. Of course, if you feel pain when you're doing that on the balls or here, you would stop and probably talk to your physical therapist or your Pilates teacher maybe, right? So bring the leg up. And let's take, again, the right leg out to the side. You might be able to feel like the glute is engaging as you bring the leg down, and then the glute is stretching away from the sacrum as you bring the knee up. And we'll do one more on the left to end. Just even it out. Your pace of the movement might have been different from mine. So you want to end both sides equal. And then from here, we're just going to slide the legs forward, stretch them out, and separate the feet about 5 to 6 inches. Because now we're working again from the hip socket, the hip joint, to rotate the legs, the femurs internally and externally. So as you spiral the knees in, you might be able to feel the glutes kind of pull away from the sacrum. It feels like a stretch across the glutes here. And then as you rotate externally, the glutes are engaging, the piriformis is engaging to spread the front of the transverse abdominis wide, and also let the legs rotate externally, knees and toes pointing out in diagonals. So we're going to spiral in and spiral out. I just like how it feels to do an inhale as I'm internally rotating, so the knees and the toes point in, and exhale for external rotation. But that can be up to you. Just keep breathing while you do it. So this is a little work for your glutes and the deep 6 rotator muscles that are beneath that, below it, more internal, that work to rotate the leg on the hip joint. Now we can pull back into sort of your frog position and then close the knees here, soles of the feet to the ground. Now we'll pick the legs up into a tabletop position. So inhale to pull one knee up and then exhale, bring the other one in. And you might want to, depending on the strength of your core, you might want to pull the knees in a little closer. That would also like flatten your waistline and maybe stretch that low back area a bit, which can feel good. If you want more core work, the knees would be further out, but you would still feel that your neutral spine was maintained. In either case, wherever that you choose to put the tabletop legs, we're going to pull the knees and the feet apart as you inhale, and exhale, close them together. Right. So this could be a great core workout, but it also is, again, working that external rotation of the leg on the hip joint, and then pulling it back in where we started with the legs in more neutral position. And again, doing this is helpful to release tension out of that piriformis muscle. And particularly if you have a soft ball to put underneath each one, that would give it a little more of a deep tissue massage, which could also be helpful. If you're using something like a tennis ball, Totally put a folded towel over the balls, and before you rest your glutes down onto them, just so you have a little cushioning. This is typically done with a much softer, like gel kind of a ball. And we'll just do one more. And then we'll go ahead, exhale to lower both feet down with control. Toes to heel, settle your feet in. So that's a Piriformis release series. Hope it's helpful for some of you. And even if you didn't particularly need it, your hips should feel a little more open and relaxed now. Just stretch the legs forward. And you may feel how they sort of want to just naturally rotate externally without really holding tension here in the hips. Okay, so from here, let's move into just our roll-ups. So you can stretch the legs forward. If you want to use ankle weights over your ankles, this would be a good time. If you want to use a TheraBand for your feet, it's also a good time. I'm going to demo the TheraBand first and then come out of it. So why don't we all start sitting up, whether you're taking the band around the ball of the foot and the arch or not. If you do have the band sit upright, actually everyone sit upright, right on your sits bones, and try to lift your chest, lift your heel to the ceiling. One hand behind your back, and you feel an indentation at your waist. And now we're curling back. So we curl the tail forward and up. Start to rotate the pelvis around the femurs. Go down, imprinting the spine down, inch by inch, one vertebra at a time. Really bending the waist into the mat. As you lower the shoulders, the neck, and the head, you'll feel the waist lift, just floating off the mat in the natural curve of your spine. Now we lift the head, neck, and shoulders, roll them a little forward to round your back, and then bend through your spine. Use the abdominals to pick you up and not just your hip flexors. And as you dive over, suck the waist back into the curve of your back. The head dives down towards your knees. You can bend the knees if your hamstrings are tight, but still feel that stretch in the back of your thighs. Hang your head low and then stack your spine bottom to top like you're zipping up a wall. And we'll do that again. So tuck the tail back. It's almost like someone punched you in the stomach. The belly retreats, so the pelvis rotates here around the back of your legs. Coming down one vertebra at a time, using the TheraBand will slow down the movement so you can feel every inch across the abdominal wall working to take you to the floor. And then we pick up the head, roll the arms slightly internally to move the shoulder blades wide on your back so the ribs can fold back as you're coming up and forward. Dive over your legs here. Feel the stretch in the back of your legs. You can continue with the band, or of course, go to just arms free, depending on what your body wants to do today, what it can do today. Articulate up. Another option here would be to hold weights in your hands. That would give you more weight forward to prevent you from crashing to the ground. You want to go down with control. The arms can stretch back if you're not using the TheraBand. Bring the arms up, lift your head, neck, shoulders. Big exhale, pick up the rib cage. And then think you're coming up and around the curve like you're coming over a beach ball. Dive over to maintain the shape of the ball and the shape of your spine mirrors that. And then we stack the spine up like that ball up the front of your body to lift your chest, lift your gaze to the horizon. You can try arms a little higher for more challenge to your ability to maintain your slow movement into the ground. But you feel a little more load, makes you work a little harder to come down, resisting gravity. And then you can yawn the arms open, lift the arms up. Big exhale. So you choose a variation that challenges you but works you correctly in that spinal articulation. You don't want to come up in chunks. You don't want to go back in a plank, right? We want to still really feel that articulation happening one end of the spine to the other. All right, so now we roll back for hundreds. So you can start rolling back again. This would take the weights off your feet, and you're going to get rid of the bar of the band as well. So you can use your hands to the back of your legs to slow your movement down, or hands to the mat. And then come down. When you're in your upright curl, you stop right before the tip of the blades on the rib cage. Pull the legs in, squeeze them together, extend the arms forward to pump the arms. Inhaling and exhaling. So legs pulled in, is pretty easy. The easiest would be feet down. You have the option of extending the legs up and then also lengthening them away. So you find a place where you're feeling that your low abdominals are challenged, but you're not overarching your back, right? There might be the natural arch, but nothing more than that. So we're breathing through this. Keep your gaze down, look down your nose into your center. The reason being that as soon as you bring your gaze up, the head falls back and you're totally into your neck and not into the upper abdominals. So we're breathing completely, full breath in to let the chest and the abdominal wall expand. Breathing out to pull everything, knit it together, pull it in towards your center. Just a couple more breaths. Lifting the head and looking down your nose to keep the length in the back of your neck. And then we can fold the knees in and lay yourself down. Right here, feel free to turn your head from side to side, releasing the neck. And maybe having the feet grounded, open the arms out in the T. And as you turn your head to one side, let your knees fall to the other. And then you bring the gaze and the knees through center and tip the knees to the other side if you look away. This will not only help the neck, it'll also release tension in your abdominal wall and your low back if you need that. And then we'll come back to center, extend the legs. We're rolling up again to grab hold of the TheraBand for single leg circles. Okay, so here we're taking the band around the right foot, on the ball of the foot and the top of the arch. Sit up and then move back down. As you come down, you can push out through both legs and you'll lift the right leg up to the ceiling. Slide your hands, maybe pay out the band a little bit, and be sure you can anchor your elbows at your waist. Lift the leg as high as you can, bent knee or straight, depending. We'd like the foot to be over the hip here. And then do a point flex, toe ball heel, toe. To work through all the bones of your feet, all the joints, all the muscles. We'll end in a soft point and take the leg a little further out so it's not quite tense from holding it at your maximum stretch in the hamstring. And we circle, inhale across the body and bring it low. Rotate it circle out to the side and up to the top. So as the right leg crosses to the left, the right hip gets heavier. At the bottom, both hips are balanced. Then you put more weight in the left side before the leg moves to the right. We take one breath per circle, a short inhale to go a quarter of the distance, and a long exhale to complete 3/4 around to the top. And you breathe through it. The shortest inhale possible, the longest exhale possible. The goal is to increase lung capacity and also strengthen the transverse abdominal muscle. See if you can feel it. If the exhale is completely exhausted at the top of the movement, like there's no more air you can push out of the lungs, you're going to feel that low belly really get tight and deep. So let's do that one more time. Enjoy the stretch across the hip as the leg crosses center, and the stretch in the inner thighs leg moves away from center. We come to the top and reverse the circles. So inhaling, left side presses into the floor as you circle the leg right, go low, sweep it across, and then lift it up to the top. Find your breath and let that help move your leg in a smooth, evenly paced circle. You can also use the arms pushing into the ground to help stabilize the side of the body that wants to lift. Do one more. Think of the foot reaching out, stretching as if it wants to go past the band out into space. The band gives it support. And then we pause. Okay, so we're going to take both ends of the band in the right hand and open the leg out to the side, actually rotating it, holding the left side grounded, and rock the leg a little bit towards your shoulder and away. And then we'll lift the leg up to the ceiling, switch hands here. Cross the leg over, extend the right arm out. Reach long to the center of the foot. And now rotate the leg internally, so the knee and the chest point down because of the femur rotating on the socket again. And then you can pull the leg towards your left shoulder. Soften the knee if it's a little too much stretch, or ease out of it if you don't like that stretch directly into your low back. You could always do a smaller version of the movement to see if that's helpful. And now we roll the right hip down to lift the leg up in the air. Bring your hands high on the band. And we're going to lift to an upright curl. So lift your head, lift your shoulders, lift your chest. Pull the band towards you, maybe lift up through the heel a bit more, and pull the leg a little closer to your chest here. And then we can fold the knee in. The band comes off, release your hip down softly. All right, after you hug the knee into your chest wall, you can stretch that leg forward, shake out your leg. And notice that the right leg has dropped a little closer to the ground. The back of the knee is closer to the floor, and the leg is, again, rotating a little more externally in a more relaxed position. Should feel longer. It probably feels like it's a different weight, and it's a different quality of energy going through it. So let's pull the left leg in here and bend that foot. We'll lift the leg up. And then slide your elbows forward so that your neck is long. And pull the leg up to the best of your ability, as vertical as you can. Bend the knee as necessary to get the leg where it's dropping straight into the hip joint. And we breathe here. Do a couple of points and flex. Roll the toes back, lift the heel, reach out to the ball of the foot. So if you're in a high-heeled shoe, and then pull the toes over the band. So we're not just flapping like a wooden block here at the ankle, but really working the whole foot articulation. And we want to end in that soft point. And now lower leg fraction, and we circle. Inhale across the body, stretch out the lateral hip. Go low, open the inner thigh as the leg sweeps around and out to the side. And again, start with that deep, sweet inhale, and then have a long, sustained exhale all the way to the top. And we breathe through it as you keep stretching the leg out. It's drawing an oval in the air and trying to spiral that and go further and further away from your center, away from your mat. Looking to lengthen the muscles and open up the joints here. Let's do one more. Be sure you feel that knitting of the low abdominal muscle in at the top of the movement at the end of the breath. And we'll reverse out to the left with the left leg. The right side is grounded, heavy, pushes into the floor like it's bolted in. And reach again. The reach is continuous. It just goes around this oval, working at different angles so that we stretch different muscles in the leg and around the hip at every point of the journey. We'll do one more here. Let the air slowly leave your mouth, leave your lips, come to the top. And we'll take both ends of the band in the left hand and open that out to the side. Rock the leg here towards your shoulder and away. The right hip is grounded as it's heavy. Hand on the hip ensures that's the truth. And then we'll exhale to pull the leg up and switch hands on the band, cross it over, extending the left arm out and spiraling the hip off the ground to the place where you want to feel the stretch. If it's too much, go back where you started or just ease out a bit. Rotating that left leg internally, the knee points down, the toes point down because of that. We're going to unwind the body, pull the hip down to lift the leg up. And again, let's pull the leg in a bit, get that extra stretch in the back of your leg, and then climb up to your upright curl. Use the arms to help you pull yourself a little bit higher into that lifted head and shoulder area. And then we slowly release down and fold the knee into your chest. You can hug it on in. Put the band to the side, and then extend that leg forward. Shake out both legs, and then let's see if they feel really compatible again. Better than previously, more relaxed, more open, more aware and awake. All right, so legs together, reach the arms back, roll up now. Roll like a ball. So we come up and take a step forward if you want, curl the chest back. And then pull your waist back away from, you can hold on anywhere on your legs, but try to pull your waist back towards your spine and lower the head here to get a good stretch. All right, we're rolling like a ball. We sit near the front third of your mat. And you hold onto your shins. Is classical cute. Hands to your thighs a little easier because then if you have trouble coming up, you can keep the legs forward to lift you. In either case, you're pressing the hands into the legs and the legs forward into the arms so that you really feel like your arm muscles are engaging and connecting you into your upper abdominals. So feel that as you curl the tail up, find your balance point at the lower part of your sacrum, and elbows wide and lifted so your ribs sink back between your blades. We inhale to lift the tail and roll just to the shoulder blades. Exhale to come forward and up to your balance point. So in these rolling exercises, we're really using the breath. Inhale to take you back, exhale to bring you forward and up. If you're having trouble coming all the way up, start your exhale a little sooner and make it more explosive. You can get back and do almost like a big hop. In these exercises, we're looking to see if the right and left side are working equally, so you can roll in a straight line down your mat and back up. Yes, that's good. So it's helpful to have the edges of your feet together and press them in, even though the knees are apart. And we'll do a couple more. So you're just like massaging your spine as you roll. That's only going to work if you have enough padding under your back, though. So be sure you have that. Also, this is not an exercise recommended if you're pregnant or if you have osteoporosis. Right. So here we go. Now we're going to roll back into. We're going to try to string them together a little bit more today, now that we're getting more into the semester. So let's pick up your right leg, push the shin into your hands and push your hands into your leg. As you curl the tail up, reach the other leg out and roll back with control to your upper arm curl. You can pull the knee in as tight as your knee allows. And then we're switching the legs. Inhale, for the right leg to go out, the left one to come in. Again, find that connection, hands push down, shin pushes up. And breathe through this. The leg shoots straight out of the hip socket. So each one draws a line straight forward, and we don't let the knees or the feet drip sideways. They go directly out in a line, so the two lines of action are about 4 to 5 inches apart. We'll do one more set here. And then we're moving right into the double leg stretch. So legs together, zip them in, and push the shins to your hands. Try to come a little deeper in the upper arm curl, look down at your navel. Arms and legs lift to the ceiling, so the arms wide around as you pull the knees in. And you reach high through the fingertips, high through the toes, embrace the legs in close to your body. So you stretch as you are able to build strength into your core. You can take the fingers further back and the legs further away, but only if you don't fall out of your nice upper arm curl. If you find that you're changing your spinal position, take the arms higher again. We'll do one more reach. Exhale, pull, and then rest your head down and turn your head easy side to side. We're going to roll forward from here, so extend the legs, do your roll up, arms up and back, lift the arms away to the shoulders, pull up, go as slowly as you can so you're not using momentum to lift you, and stretch. And then as we get back, we're going into scissors. So you can roll back. And then as you come in, you can pull both knees in. Take your right leg up high and the left leg out long, and hold on as high up on your leg as you can, towards the ankle. It may also depend on how flexible you are. The further back you can bring it, the higher the hands can reach. Right? If you need to hold here below your knee, that's fine too. So we're going to switch the legs and try to hold the body up in the upper arm curl while the legs are sweeping past each other. One goes down, one comes up. And you pull the hands back and you push the leg forward. to firm up the muscles in the leg as well as the muscles in the arm. Connecting all of that into your core. This can also be done with bent knees, right? They'll have to be done that way until the legs can go vertically without that. It's all good as long as you feel that stretch at the back of your leg and the work in your center. We'll do one more set and end with the left leg up. Bring the right leg up to meet it. Stick your hands behind the base of your skull. Pull the head up and the elbows down and in towards your abs. Now, we want to keep the legs centered, right? And we're going to slide the feet a little bit away. And then exhale, pull the back up to vertical. Again, knees might be bent. That's a perfectly good variation. But then you're moving the thighs away and then the thighs back in. Straighten them if you can or when you can. So even if you start with the knees bent and they're vertical, as you stretch out, you can start to straighten the knees and then only soften them as necessary. So feeling the stretch in the back of your thighs. So we're moving a little bit forward. We're super cautious with this because the muscle, the psoas that connects the legs to the spine, is what's supporting the weight of the legs as it pays out, the legs go down. As the psoas contracts, the legs lift up. We're paying close attention because we don't want the weight of the legs to overpower the psoas and pull the vertebra a little out of position. You want to be thoughtful in your movement and aware that it's great for you if done correctly and could be really bad for you if done incorrectly. All right, and now we're twisting to the right. The right leg pulls in, the left leg moves forward. Come up and forward. It's a combination of rotation plus your upright curl. So the opposite hip stays heavy, stays grounded. You want to feel those oblique abdominals pull you up on the diagonal. The armpit towards the inner thigh as you go from side to side. Can you stay up sort of on the tip of your shoulder blades? That's the goal. And one more set. Center and rest. All right. So as we advance in our Pilates training, we have less time in between the exercises. Eventually, the whole thing is one continuous flow of different exercises from the start of the hour to the end of the hour. While we're building strength and understanding into it, we take it slower, we pause more, we give the body a chance to recover and then regroup. So speaking of regrouping, let's roll up and extend the legs open, spine stretch. So here's where if the back line of your legs or your low back are really tight, you want to elevate yourself up on your yoga blocks or books. Even the roller will work, but that's not as good because it's not as stable. But whatever you have that you need, if you're extremely tight in the back line, you might even sit on a chair to do this, right? So legs apart, flex the feet if you can, soft feet if you're still tight in the back of your legs. And we'll bring the arms forward parallel to the ground. Let me push down with your arms, feel that chest lift up a little bit here. And then you tip your chin down as you look down your nose. Bring your chin towards the base of your throat and then move the head forward in space without moving the shoulders. Just move the 7 vertebrae of the neck first and then add the movement going down the spine, thoracic spine to lumbar spine. Again, your waist is pulled back, you're curving your spine in a C shape, like a horseshoe here on its side. And then you push down into your heels, into your sits bones, and zip your back up the wall, coming up gradually, the gaze moves forward across the room and to the horizon. And when you look down, gaze starts the movement. Tipping your head down, reaching from the back of the skull out, over and down in an arc like a wave. It comes up and then it dives over and down onto the beach. Then we use that inhale to suction ourselves back up, back into the ocean, a little bit of undertow, lifts you at the top, and then we're going down again. Press down to come up. As you lift the eyes, you lift the heart, The collarbones widen, the sternum lifts, and the blades fall behind you. One more, going over and down. Big exhale. And then hold that stretch for a sec. Nice. And now we're pulling ourselves forward again for another rolling exercise. So if you're on the yoga blocks, you come on up. And here we're taking hands between the legs. Then rest the top of your hands on the top of your ankles. Edges of the feet together. And then suck the waist back, creating that C-curve spine and pelvic top. Upright curl, and then you lift the feet off the ground. Now from here, we're going to extend the right leg up. So you might rotate your hand around to the outside of the leg and hold onto the calf. And then you might, as you fold the knee, the edges of the feet come back together. You press them lightly in and your hands are back on top of the shin. And then the left, up and out. We're going to hold our balance while we're here. This again, if it's new to you or if you're really tight, if balance is an issue, we hold onto the thighs and then just extend the leg up. Maybe it doesn't straighten all the way. Maybe it does, but then you pull it back in. And then reach out. We want Pilates to be for every single body, no matter their condition, right? So that's why there's so many different modifications that you can use. And of course, like, you come at different points in your life and different levels of flexibility and strength. We just always know you can find something that'll work for you to strengthen you, to make you more comfortable in your body. Feel the benefits of this. So now both legs, reach up and out, and then come back in, and stretch, and back. Let's do one more. And then we hold the legs up. We're going to look down at our abs and roll from here. So now open leg rocker. So curl the tail up, roll to your shoulder blades. Exhale, come forward, big breath. The first one is often a little awkward because when we did that last rolling exercise, rolling the ball, the center of balance was different from this because of the legs being extended here. So we curve to go back and stay curved to come forward. Really nice, one more. Inhale, rolling back. On your shoulder blades, head off the ground. And then legs together, bend your knees. And good. Here, we're rolling back and down for corkscrew. So I'd like to use the TheraBand to do this today. You take that around your feet. And then roll it down to it onto your spine. Hold the knees in. So putting tension into the band and then lift the legs up towards the ceiling. Legs are straight or bent. Whatever kind of works to have your feet directly above the pelvic floor, above your hips. And you have a slight point to the ball of the foot. Now, we're going to circle the legs here. Small circle the size of a basketball. Going around to the right, around to the left, and back up to the top. Trying to feel this in your core as you work to hold the right side down, with the legs go left, and the left side down, and your hips as the legs swing over to the right. So we're using sort of these oblique abdominals to counteract the weight and movement of your legs. With these, you change direction each time. But just circling in one direction and coming to the top, you want to reverse on the next circle. And just like the single leg circles, it's a short inhale and a longer exhale so that you can really connect into your abdominal wall to help find support to keep the pelvis grounded. We're going to go from left to right, stop at the top. We're going to throw in a different exercise here. This is called windshield wiper or TikTok. So now you are going to take the legs over and tip the pelvis. So one hip comes off as you take the legs over, but keep your shoulder blades down. And exhale, pull it back slowly, rolling across your low back, across the sacrum. And then we tip the legs to the left, lifting the right hip up. And then pull the right hip down to bring the legs back up to center from the left. And again, so we can pick up the left hip bone to tip the feet over to the right. See how far you can go without collapsing and falling to the ground. And then we're going to pull the right hip up, rock across the sacrum, and keep lifting the right hip bone to take your legs to the left. Shoulder blades are active, upper arms are active here. Exhale back to center. Feel that weight shift across the sacrum and the SI joints. We'll do one more set. Exhale, moving back. And one more time. So as always, the movement is only as big as you can support it and maintain control of it from yourself. Okay, and then let's fold the knees in, bend to the side, and we can roll up again now for sock. So we're coming back up, and again, if you typically sit on something, elevate your hips, do that now. And here the legs are a little wider than they were for spine stretch, and maybe to the outer edge of your mat. And then we'll extend the arms outside. And reach long through your fingertips. Hands a little bit in front of the collarbones so that you're not an extension of the spine, right? When the arms get too far back, depending on how tight you are on your chest, the back will arch instead of being in a neutral position. Rotate to your right and bring the back of the left hand outside along the outer edge of the right leg. And as you dive your left ear towards the right knee, you're going to pull the right arm up and back behind you, up to the ceiling, fingers long. And then keep that rotation as you stack your spine up. When you're vertical, you unwind and spin in the other direction. Now, again, if the back line is tight, you're going to want to bend your knees as you go over to free your spine for more mobility. And so really bend your knees as you're going over and down. Even more, lift your knees and get your chest closer to the leg. There you go. And you're pushing down through your opposite hip. And then we're lifting to come up. Center here and do it again. So dive, reach. So the thing with these exercises is that if you're super tight in the back line, when you go over, you're only going to be able to move a little bit, right? So then it's better to soften the knees gradually so you can out the hamstrings so you can go over, and down and get that rotation through the whole length of your spine instead of just the upper back. And then as you come up, you can start to straighten the knees and unwind. So take it over and reach. That's it. So as long as you still feel the stretch, both diagonally in your back and into the back of your legs, bend the knees as much as you need to. Twist and dive over. Also, if sitting is really not working for your body, you can do the standing, right? That would start to open you up so that eventually you would be able to do it sitting. We're going to come up after you've gone to your left and then lower the arms down. Okay, from here into swan, we'll use the roller. You bring it across your mat. If you were here yesterday, we did a standing swan first. They would just go right through this. So extend your arms out a little wider than your shoulders. And the fingers reach long. The top of the feet are into the mat. And then you float your head off of the mat, ears between arms. Now we begin by widening the collarbone and pulling the shoulder blades down your back. Propel the head forward and then bring your gaze across the room and up the wall a little bit. So you come up and lift your upper body, thoracic extension. And then let's zip the belly into the mat, pubic bone to navel, to ribs, to chest. And then the head goes down, you look down into the floor. And then we're doing it again. So feel the blades pull back down and in. As you open the collarbones, you lift your eyes up. Now, the higher you lift your gaze, the more you're going to be able to pull the chest forward and up. And then keep the gaze up on the way down to keep that feeling of a length here in the front of the body as long as possible, and then lower down. You can compare that to keeping your gaze down. So if you just look down at the floor and try to come up, it feels much more restricted. I'm actually getting a little tension in by my sacrum here if I do that. So it's helpful to actually let the body follow the gaze. So gaze goes forward and up. Only go as far as it goes right for your back, your body, and then zip yourself back into the floor. Come all the way down. Now this will give you a little bit of a lat stretch too. So if you look down, you can slide the arms forward, like pulling your shoulders up by your ears and then pulling the blades down your back. That'll kind of rock the roller back and forth. Do this when your chest is down, right? And then you're looking at the ground and just letting the blades move up towards your earlobes. So that is a stretch into your lat, and then you have lat engagement as you pull the collarbones wide and the shoulders down your back, and the roller moves towards your head. So slide it forward and pull it back, only using the shoulder girdle. Does that make sense? For some? Yeah. If that's a little confusing to you, everyone just come up to sit for a second. Because it's not bending the elbows and straightening the arms, it's actually pulling the shoulders up and down. So if you just take one arm up and reach your fingers up to the ceiling, see how your blade lifts up by your ear, like it kind of hugs it. And then you just pull the shoulder blade down. So you can pull one arm up and then pull down. That's what we're doing. So the elbow can stay straight. And you're moving from the blade, right? So the blade goes up, the blade pulls down here. And that's pulling into part of your lat. But it's not the whole lat, which is a huge muscle. To the other side, so the shoulder shrugs and pulls down. This in itself is a great exercise to take tension out of the neck and the shoulder. Feel the lift, it kind of pulls in to the chest wall as well. That's because the front of the armpit is the pec, and when you lift the arm, it's tugging on the pec, as well as the back part being the lat. All right, so then go onto your stomachs again and just try to do that, like move your shoulder blades towards your ears and then away. And we're not lifting the spine into extension, we're just trying to lift the head off of the ground. And then slide the roller forward, pulling the shoulders towards your earlobe, and pull the roller back towards your head, winding the collarbone and pulling the blades down your back. See that? Is that a little more clear? It's a pretty specific movement, right? And it's helpful because we tend to pull the shoulders up by the ears when we're tense, when we're cold, when we're upset, we feel like we need a little extra security. So it's good to know that you know how to pull them down your back also. That's it, that's good. And just that very simple movement will help strengthen your upper back. Okay, so great. So from here, let's go onto our backs for shoulder bridge. This can be tricky for knees and for hamstrings. So if that's the case, you may want to take a ball between your inner thighs. We're going to do a little more spinal articulation, starting from the tail and going up towards the base of the scapula. So feet are grounded, maybe 8 to 10 to 12 inches possibly between your sits bones and your heels. And you would hug the ball between your thighs, not at the knee, but above the joint, right? So as the arms press down into the ground, walk your fingers forward a little bit to move the shoulders away from your ears. And we begin with a pelvic tuck. So the waist pushes down as the tail goes up. And then we start to elevate the glutes as you pull the tail forward and up. The knees leg forward. As you come up with the hips, you may get a stretch across your quads. That would be a good thing. And then you could even roll to the outer arm and push the top of the shoulders into the floor to pull the blades under your back, to pick up your chest a little higher and go, and then push down with your arms and your feet to go up a little higher with your glutes, with your butt. And now we're going to roll to the inner arm, try how the blades move sideways apart so you can bring the spine and the upper rib cage down between your blades. and you curve the back into the ground slowly. Try to almost traction out your spine as you come down, releasing one vertebra at a time. When you roll to the sacrum, you're going to roll down to the tail, and that tips the pelvis into a neutral position and gives you a little lift here at your waistline. With the pelvic tuck, right, you're pulling the navel down and actually moving the pelvic girdle so that it flattens your waist to the floor. Pull back with your heels, pull forward with the knees, and let the tail rise and go forward and up towards the wall in front of you. You're coming all the way up to rest into the shoulder blades, and then slightly roll to the outer arm. Push the shoulder blades down and together as you lift the rib cage up. Eyes are up and the chin is lifted off your chest, right? You want to have some length in the neck so you can breathe. And we're also using some inner thighs, so the knees are not floating open, they're staying together, and there's weight on the inside edges of your feet. Now to come out of it, we're going to roll the shoulders up slightly, roll to the inner arm, and the blades pull apart so you can come down, upper back, mid back, lower back, sacrum, and finally the tail settles in. You want to get that rocking of the pelvis at the end to release the spine. One more going up, and then there we're going to practice a little bit of marching. So if you had a ball between your legs, probably take it out now. Good. And then we start with that pelvic tuck, curve the tail up. Your hamstrings should be on alert that they're working now. And then we come up, up, up. And for this, you might just make it a plank from your shoulders to your knees. You could choose to go up a little higher if you want, but that is going to be more difficult. So now from here, put weight into both arms and your left foot. Pull the right knee up and then try to lift the knee towards the ceiling so that the right foot isn't falling towards the ground. And then we lower the foot down, toe ball heel, and then see, is the hip elevated at the same height as the left one, or do you need to push that glute up a little bit higher? Now put weight into your right foot, both arms, and pull the left knee up. And then when it's up, make it active. Try to imagine you're trying to touch your knee to the ceiling here. Lower the foot down, keeping the hip up. And then we roll to the inner arm and curve the spine all the way down. It's challenging to go up and stand on one foot and the two arms, but it's really challenging to do that without having the pelvic halves drop on the side where there's no support with the leg. So that's our goal here, is to try to keep the pelvis level even when it's suspended in the air and only one foot is holding the pelvis up. So remember, the arms are helping to hold it. Let's curve forward and up again. Come to your bridge. Find the inside edge of your standing foot. That'll be the left one this time. Pick up the right hip bone crest and then pick up the knee. Lift the knee to the ceiling to hold the pelvic half up. Lower the knee and the foot down. Roll through the foot. Put weight into the foot so the right hip is now supported. And then we pick up the left. Knee lifts. Lower the knee, lower the foot. Roll your foot into the floor. Pick up the hip if it's dropped even slightly. And now let's roll the spine all the way down. All right, now we're going to add to that and just make it a little more difficult. So as you go up, after we pick up the knee, and so we only have one foot on the ground, we're going to stretch the top leg up to the ceiling, extending the leg. So here we go. So push down into the floor, do your shoulder bridge, pulling the tail up and moving it forward. You press to the arms and activate your glutes. Now pull the right knee in, lift the toes up to the ceiling, reach. That lift will help you as you bend the knee, lift the knee, and then lower down, trying to keep that right hip elevated parallel to the left one. Send into the right foot, pull the left knee in. Pick the knee up to the ceiling to lift your left glute, extend the foot up and lift the foot again, lift that left glute, bend the knee, lift the knee, and then lower the foot down and all the way down. So we want to start to build some strength into this back line. And also awareness that you can be balanced on 3 points, 2 arms, 1 foot, and still hold that hip up in the air without support on the leg on that side. Okay, so we'll keep working on that. But not now for today. So let's come up to sitting again. And we're going to end with a little side bend here, mermaid, using the roller. So we can swing the knees over to one side, and my knees are going to the right, and so my feet are headed over to the left. If this doesn't work for your knees, you can also do this with the legs just extended out. As this gets more advanced, you would have more legs stacked, like knee over knee, but that's going to require more side bend length here in the hip. So find what works for you, because you want to be able to sit upright and have the hands free like that. Yeah, so wherever you are, it could be really wide. This is called a Z sit sometimes. It can be pretty wide. That's going to be easier because you're more have more weight in this side. So whichever place you choose. We're going to have the roller on the side that the knees are pointing to. And then you'll take your hand to rest on that. Right? So first, hold your hand to your shin. Lift the hand off the roller and side bend towards your shins. This will open up that area. You may feel, especially from your rib cage down to your hip. And then coming up, depends where you're tight, right? You could be tight in the lower part of your sideline or the upper part. Now we're going to let the hand roll along here, because on the roller rolls under the wrist towards the elbow, but not any further. So the elbow is just a little further away than your shoulder. And you lift up through your rib cage, really try to increase the side bend arch of your spine, of your ribs. And then push through your arm as you come up. And we're going to the other side here. Yeah. Come upright, arms extend, slide on out, scoop the air with your arm, with your head and neck, and then with your rib cage. Press down through this lower hip here to increase the stretch from waist down. And then push into your arm as you come up. Use your oblique abdominals to lift and side bend over one more time. We'll come upright and then go to the other side. So we swing the legs in the other direction. And again, the knees can be as far apart, stacked or really wide. Whatever works for your knees, whatever works for this hip to have the strength to hold yourself up. So take your hand to your shin, lift the arm that was on the roller and side bend away from your roller. Let the weight of your head be heavy. You want to sort of look either straight ahead, or if your head is pretty far forward, if you've rounded your back, look up at your hand and that'll pull the head back in line with your sacrum and tail. Coming up, arms extend, hand onto the roller, roll out, bending the elbow, support there, and let the air fall towards the ground. Press into the arm as you come up, because the more you push down, the more you're going to feel the opposite obliques. And then over we go. Opening your sideline again. Coming up, arms extend, and let's do one more. Remember, you want your body parallel to the wall in front of you and not have it rotated. The body will want to rotate because you'll go further into the stretch, but when you feel the stretch in your back instead of in your side seam, you know you've rotated a little too far. And then you can come up and we are good for today. Guys, thank you. Great job. Any questions, anything I can help you with, just let me know. And hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, the rest of their week, and I'll see you next week.